need him. And Eddie George, the same thing with his ankle sprain. He will be in the starting lineup for Tennessee, and do they need him? Meanwhile, Derrick Mason, a valuable kick returner and wide receiver, will be out for Tennessee. That will affect them. They are injury-riddled, especially in the secondary, where all-pro cornerback Samari Rowe will be out several weeks, and Donald Mitchell will make his first career start. So maybe we'll see Brad Johnson go downtown in the passing department. Right now, let's send you to Sam Rosen in Minneapolis.
Thanks very much, Dick. Too desperate.
Bernie Mac style.
Morning, Splash Philadelphia Coliseum here in Nashville, Tennessee, as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 2-1 on this young season, take on the surprisingly winless Tennessee Titans, who are 0-3. And welcome to Nashville, everyone. Dick Stockton along with Moose Johnson and Troy Aikman. Now, Tampa Bay won a big game against Green Bay last week. They get Warwick Dunn at running back, but I don't think they're really in sync yet offensively. What are their plans for this game?
Well, they're not in sync, Dick, and this is an offense that has only scored 3 offensive touchdowns in the 3 games that they've played, and a couple reasons for that. One, Brad Johnson admittedly has said that he is not completely comfortable within this offense. The other thing that has kept them from scoring more points is that they have been unable to make big plays down the field. You can expect, however, that to change somewhat today. They're going to be working against a young Titans secondary, and they're going to have to make some of those plays and capitalize if they're going to get a chance to score points.
Now, whoever thought Tennessee, a lot of people picked them to get to the Super Bowl to be 0-3 at this point. They lost to Baltimore. Now they have another tough defensive team in Tampa Bay today, Moose.
And that's going to be the key, their offense. They have not been happy with the production. They haven't been able to control the clock, to move the ball down the field. To address that last week in the running game, they moved Bruce Matthews to center. Zach Pillar gets the start at guard. But the big problem is on the outside. The wide receivers are not making any plays. Steve McNair could be thrown to a young group of wide receivers this afternoon.
And Eddie George is healthy and will play today on the receiving end, perhaps, of Steve McNair's passes. Right now, let's send it down to Pam Oliver, who's with the Titans head coach, Jeff Fisher.
All right, thanks a lot, Dick. Jeff, we know about the struggles. We know about the injuries. We know about the 0-3 start. So tell me what you feel good about heading into this ball game.
I'll tell you what, Pam, I have confidence in this football team, and they have confidence in each other. And, you know, this is about trusting each other, and they trust each other. This football team can take a punch, and we've taken a few. We're going to get back up off the canvas today and find a way to make something happen.
You know that's a defensive group that's going to be determined to stop your running game. Are you confident that your passing game can open some things up?
Well, we've got a defensive group that's got to do some things, too. Something's going to budge today, and that's what's exciting about this ball game.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. Let's go back upstairs to Dick.
Well, if anyone can get a team revved up, it would be Jeff Fisher. On a beautiful day. We had thunderstorms yesterday and rain earlier today, but that has passed through. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will get their hands on the ball first. Joe Nedney will kick off for Tennessee, playing back-to-back games for the first time in this regular season. And there you see, back to receive, Rabia Abdullah and Aaron Stecker. And this kick going 2 yards in the end zone, and Dwight Smith will down it for the touchback. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Troy mentioned, they haven't scored many touchdowns, and neither has Tennessee. Rookie Kenyatta Walker at left tackle, McDaniel and Christie, the ex-Vikings, Cozy Coleman at right guard, and Jerry Wunsch at right tackle. Keyshawn Johnson off to a good start. Warwick Dunn back in the lineup. They thought he'd be out a while. Jacquez Green, the wide receiver, along with Keyshawn Johnson. Mike Allstott will start at tailback, coming off a big game a week ago. 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line, and here is Allstott, who dives forward in a gain of about 2, fumbles the ball, and he was down by contact, so the Buccaneers will retain possession. Defensively, for the Tennessee Titans, Josh Evans will start for the injured John Thornton, but Javon Kearse, the one to watch at defensive end. Eddie Robinson and Greg Favors flank Randall Godfrey, who's playing with a broken thumb. Changes in the secondary. Donald Mitchell is first started cornerback. Eric Morris is at strong safety, and Blaine Bishop, normally the strong safety, moving to free safety. 2nd down and 8, and the quick pass, and it's incomplete as Brad Johnson trying to get it out early to Keyshawn Johnson.
Dick, that's one of the matchups that they want to try to take advantage of today. We mentioned the secondary for the Tennessee Titans. Ron Jenkins has been beaten in the last couple of ball games, and right there you had Keyshawn Johnson working against him on a simple little out route. And one of the things that they want to do, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is they want to be able to get Keyshawn involved in this game early.
And Warwick Dunn, who is coming in as a third down back. On 3rd down and 8 out of the shotgun. Brad Johnson had time but had no one to throw to. And Josh Evans, in his first start of the year, sacks Brad Johnson.
That's a situation that they've had problems with up to this point in the season, is that when they have had some time to get rid of the football, they've had no one open down the field, and that was an example of that. No one was open downfield. Josh Evans able to get in there and make the sack.
So Mark Royals will kick from the 5-yard line, and Joe Walker, who leads the NFL in punt returns, finds himself in Tampa Bay territory and turning the corner and knocked out of bounds. Walker has averaged 15 yards of punt return. He gets 16 that time. So the Titans will start in Tampa Bay territory. In the offensive line, Hopkins, Hiller at left guard. Bruce Matthews remains at center with Olsen and Fred Miller at right tackle. Dyson and rookie Justin McCarron's at wide receiver. Eddie George back in the lineup at running back with Frank Wycheck, always reliable, and Aaron Kinney, who is the Titans' leading receiver. Tennessee with a first down on the Buccaneers' 39. And Eddie George getting the call, and George picking up nearly 4 on first down. The Bucs defense, and they held up when Brett Favre nearly brought the pack back last week. Warren Sapp with only no sacks this year after a career high a year ago. Derrick Brooks with a injured foot, playing nonetheless. And in the secondary, Rondé Barber and Donnie Abraham at the corners. Dexter Jackson and John Lynch, the hard-hitting safety. 2nd and 6. Eddie George, and Eddie George won't go anywhere. Anthony McFarland making the tackle on a loss of 1.
Warren Sapp talked about the Titans offensive line, a team that likes to stretch and move laterally, and he feels that the upfield penetration that he and Anthony McFarland will be able to get today will disrupt this running game. We've seen an early example of that right there with Anthony McFarland beating Bruce Matthews quick and really disrupting that play before it had a chance to get started.
Yeah, and this football team for Tampa Bay defensively, they have been built purely on speed, and you're going to have a tough time getting to the outside. The way to attack this defense, running the football, is right at them.
Worst against worst on 3rd down conversions right here. 3rd down and 7 for Steve McNair, and he is going deep, and this pass is caught by Justin McCarron, and he is out of bounds at the 1-yard line. So Justin McCarron, who was drafted on the 4th round out of Northern Illinois, and we'll see a lot of the young receivers today.
Well, the first thing you got to look at here is the protection that Steve McNair gets. He's get great protection to throw the football and step up. Then on the outside, Justin McCarron, who's making his first start, and a guy that they really feel strongly in, he's able to run by Donnie Abraham and make a nice play and get it down in there and score in position.
And Jeff Fisher talked about him being that big physical wide receiver that could match up outside man-to-man and go up and make the plays that haven't been happening these first 3 games.
36-yard pass play, and the Titans are knocking on the Bucs door. 1st and goal from the 1. And a play-action pass, and an easy touchdown for Kevin Dyson. Well, Jeff Fisher proving to be a prophet in his opening comments, guys, to Pam Oliver.
Well, you take a look here. It's just, Eddie George creates so much. Whenever you fake it to him, people are going to respond. It allows McNair to get outside and wide open there for the touchdown. And you got to remember, the ball started on the 38-yard line this drive, and that's classic Tennessee football.
Joe Nittany with the extra point. So it took the Tennessee Titans a little over 2 minutes to get on the board, and Dyson with the touchdown pass, giving the Titans a 7-0 lead. Out here as Kevin Dyson catching the 1-yard touchdown pass, and this is the first touchdown that the Titans have scored in the first quarter all season. Trying to get their first win of the year, and Joe Midney with a kickoff 5 yards in the end zone to Dwight Smith, and for the second time for the touchback.
Take a look at that last touchdown. You got Kevin Dyson right here. Watch where he's going to go. He's going to run back there behind the line. They call it the submarine pass. Steve McNair makes the fake and is able to come out. You can see Donnie Abraham is here. He's not able to get back outside. Leaves wide open Kevin Dyson for the touchdown.
Great thing is to see Steve McNair out on the corner. One of the things since he's had that shoulder injury, they've really kept him in the pocket to try and keep him healthy.
Dyson's first touchdown catch of the year. First and 10 at the 20-yard line. Mike Allstott is the setback. Play action for Brad Johnson. And Johnson completes the pass close to the first down to Jaquez Green near the 30.
Here's Kenyatta Walker right here. He's going up against Javon Kearse. They're going to give him as much help as they can during the course of this game. You'll see tight ends, running backs, chipping, and offensive linemen helping him out. Then on the other side of the field, just a basic little curl route, getting himself open, getting that separation. Deron Jenkins a little bit late reacting.
And as Troy said, that's the guy they're aiming at, the target, Deron Jenkins today. Second down and 1. And here is Cook. No, that's Allstott. First down. Mike Allstott, who ran 39 yards for a big touchdown against the Packers a week ago, picking up 4 yards, and the Buccaneers first down to the 34.
A big ball game for Mike Allstott last week, and for the first time in quite some time, he was able to take an active role in this offensive football team and had the big gain there for the touchdown and the game winner, and it's done a lot for his confidence, and he's excited about getting another opportunity to play in this one today with the injury to Warwick Dunn.
First down for the Buccaneers in an early 7-0 hold. And here is Allstott, and Allstott doesn't get much. Henry Ford, and then Javon Kearse in on the tackle, and a loss of 1.
Javon Kearse, everybody talks about him as a pass rusher and the athletic ability he has, but this guy goes to the whistle on every play. He makes a lot of plays in the running game. He plays a lot bigger than he is. Everybody talks about him being that tall, lanky speed guy, but you watch him in the running game. He's a physical football player, and he is always around the football.
Yeah, we saw him yesterday. I was actually surprised that he was as big as what he is.
Second and 10. And the handoff from Allstott. Well, it looks like the Tennessee Titans, and a little bit of a fall job by Joe Salabea. Loss of 3 yards, and they're trying to cut down Allstott right at the line of scrimmage.
Well, Jeff Fisher, Buddy Ryan's bear defense. Here's Javon Kearse and Kevin Carter to the same side. You've got 2 linebackers, Greg Favors, number 51, and Eddie Robinson, number 55, on the other side. So they've got their 2 featured D linemen playing on the same side. Better make an adjustment and run away from those 2.
Third and 13. And Warwick Dunn in, as he was on the first series on a 3rd down play. Out of the shotgun, Brad Johnson going to Dunn, who is open and dropped the ball.
You know, Warwick able to come back and play in this ball game, and they're thrilled to have him in here on 3rd down situations. He's able to do so much. He runs the option routes. They like the one-on-one matchups that present itself working against linebackers, but when it's 3rd and 13, 3rd and 14 yards, this is the problem that they've had. They've been unable to get the ball down the field, and it's a hard 3rd down to convert, but they've got to be able to get the ball down the field better.
A bad punt by Mark Royals. It bounces into Tennessee territory, but Mark Royals can't be pleased with that effort. And once again, Tennessee will have the ball in good field position. To believe what everyone is talking about, he was very cognizant of the fact that people have been critical of the Tampa Bay offense, and he believes in his system. He's been to the playoffs, and he's sticking with it as the Titans begin from their own 40-yard line. McNair back to throw on 1st down, and he can't find a receiver, and finally does as he completes to McCarron, and the rookie making his 2nd catch already. And a flag is down. Donnie Abraham making the tackle, and that would be a 15-yard gain, but this will be called back Dick Hantak, our referee today. The penalty will be against the Titans.
Well, in this scenario where
Ineligible. Offensive team, number 69 downfield prior to the pass. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Zach Pillar, 5-yard penalty.
Here's a look here at the big play on third down. Something they've been unable to do is convert third downs. 3rd and 8. They go to Justin McCarron. Here's the touchdown catch to Kevin Dyson. And they've gotten off to a fast start. And when you're an offensive football team that's struggling the way Tennessee has been, that's exactly how you want to come out and start a ball game.
3 wide receivers. McCarron's a rookie, and so is Drew Bennett, an undrafted rookie from UCLA. 1st and 15 from the 35. And the inside handoff to Eddie George. And Eddie George is stopped by the free safety Dexter Jackson. George picking up 3.
Eddie George is one of those guys that just needs to get the ball as he wears down this defense. Over 400 carries last year, but as we talked at the top, he's a little bit nicked up. You see that average right there, 3.0, the lowest of his career right now. So that's been the big key. This offense is all about pounding the ball and establishing a dominant feel, and they do that with Eddie George, but they haven't been able to do it so far this season.
Eddie George didn't look like he was going to go this week, and all of a sudden on Thursday he responded, playing with a bit of a sore sprained ankle. 2nd and 13. Incomplete at midfield. Drew Bennett, the intended receiver, with Derek Mason out of there, and perhaps another wide receiver in the doghouse, Chris Sanders. Jeff George going with a lot of inexperience but promising receivers today.
Yeah,
Jeff
he's going to play a lot of these different young receivers today, and he made it very clear he was unhappy. Chris Sanders had a chance to make a play last week. He failed to make it, which would have been a touchdown right before the half against Baltimore, and he has been very pleased with the way these young receivers have been able to make plays in practice. And today they're going to get their opportunities, and Justin McCarron took advantage of it on that touchdown he had earlier.
It has been maybe a tougher year for Jeff George at that. So another 3rd down play coming up. 3rd and 13. And McNair on the run, going downfield, completes the pass inside the 30 to McCarron. Justin McCarron with a 38-yard catch, which set up the first touchdown, and this one good for 36 yards. And the Titans again clicking on a 3rd down.
Take a look, and Steve McNair, this is something that he's been unable to do last week. He's moving around much better with the shoulder and not as tentative. That's where he's at his best. He scrambles around, he finds Justin McCarron's in a hole downfield, and Justin McCarron's a guy who they thought could come in and make some plays, has proven the coach is right.
And he was open, and McNair found him on the run. So 1st down at the 27-yard line for the Titans. Here is Eddie George trying to go wide left, and will lose a couple on the play. And right now for a game break, let's check in with James Brown in Los Angeles. JB?
Hey, Dick, take a look at the Giants on their opening drive. A 6-play, 80-yard drive capped by that 4-yard run by Ron Dane. Key play, 42-yard pass play to Amani Toomer. It's the Giants on top of the Rams, 7-3 in St. Louis. Back to Dick, Floyd, and Darryl.
Well, they don't have a Tiki Barber, so they have to rely on Ron Dane in this one.
Well, and I don't think 7 will win that point. They're going to have to score more points than that, don't you think?
Maybe 35. 2nd down and 11 on the 29, and there's a good play action situation in McNair throwing it away. He was going for Dyson at the 10-yard line. And Simeon Rice putting some pressure on.
You talk about Warren Sapp and what he does to an offensive line and the attention that he brings. You can see right here Brad Hopkins and Matthews working against him. And, you know, there's a reason why he does not have a sack yet this season. And as you can tell right there, he's got a lot of bodies. But what that does is it frees up things for guys like Anthony McFarland, Simeon Rice. And those are the guys they're going to have to pick up and take up the slack.
Sapp had 16.5 sacks, his career best a year ago. Three wide receivers to the right. McNair going underneath to Eddie George. First down inside the 15. So everything is cleared out, and Eddie George getting by Derrick Brooks, the usual reliable linebacker, and he chalks up 14 on the play.
Well, that's just Steve McNair hanging in the pocket, and Eddie George, this is going to be great. Here's Eddie right here. Watch the cut he makes after he catches his ball versus Derrick Brooks, number 55. This is a guy with a bad ankle. He just stopped on a dime and got right upfield.
And Derrick Brooks is one of their sure tacklers. And the thing that has affected this defense the most in the last couple of weeks is that they've missed tackles.
From the 15, here is Eddie George on the ground. And George picking up 3 yards. Jamie Duncan, the middle linebacker, making the stop. So the Tampa Bay defense under siege here in the first quarter against the Titans, who are already leading by 7 and threatening for more.
They talked about not playing up to their standards, regardless of what anybody else thinks about this defense, whether they're playing well. They weren't happy with the standards that they set for their defensive unit, and they need to pick up in certain areas. And right now, Tennessee's got them on their heels.
Well, it's been a wake-up call thus far for the Titans. We look at a 2nd down and 7. McNair jumping around. Flag is down, and Steve McNair heading for the end zone, and he is out of bounds at about the 2-yard line. And a penalty marker down, and they're going to call this one back as well.
Now, how many times do you do a game and you see that the penalties that are just affecting these football teams, and it's putting them in big holes, and that has been the case with the Tennessee Titans over the last 2 weeks.
Here's Dick Hantack with the call.
Holding. Offense, number 69. 10 yards. Repeat the down. 2nd down.
So instead of a 1st and goal, Zach Pillar called for holding.
And it's Zach Pillar who made his first start last week, and he's right in the middle there, 69. You see him, he's working against Warren Sapp. He's got a full load, and it's about the only way one-on-one you're going to slow this guy down, and Zach is called for it. And one of the reasons that Tennessee has not been able to convert on 3rd downs, which has been a major negative for this football team, has been because of the penalties that they've had and gotten themselves in 2nd and 3rd long situations like they're in right now.
And it's 2nd and 17, Troy, and Mike Green is in as a receiver, and there's a quarterback draw, and McNair is driven down, and it's Rondé Barber got to him, and an official went down as well, and he lost his hat as well. Let's give him credit. Carl Mattson, the umpire.
Coach Heimerdinger, the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans, he said that he was not going to alter his play calling due to the injury, the shoulder injury to Steve McNair. When you're running your quarterback on a quarterback draw on 2nd and long to get into a position to try to get points, I think that points out that they're not going to adjust the way that they call plays, and they're more concerned about trying to find a way to win this football game, because this game means everything to this team for this season.
Titans with the worst 3rd down average, but today they're perfect in 3 tries. They need 12 yards here before they run it. Tennessee will call a timeout.
Tennessee, their first
with just
timeout.
under 3 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Titans 7, Bucks nothing. Via Coliseum in Nashville, the Tennessee Titans 0-3 on the year.
I'm going to disagree with my partner right there. The best he's felt all season. I don't run the quarterback draw. I use that play later in the year when he's feeling a little bit better.
Let me get between you guys now. 3rd down and 12 from the 17. Here is McNair. Intercepted by Derrick Brooks. Well, Brett Favre threw 3 interceptions to this defense last week. Joined the club, McNair, as he throws one right into the hands of Derrick Brooks, who is playing with a sore foot, as Moose said, and returns it 10 yards. So the Buccaneers dodge that one, and they'll get the ball back, still trailing by 7. Derrick Brooks with his 2nd interception. The Buccaneers have 8, leading the NFC, and they get the ball at the 21-yard line. Brad Johnson gets protection, and this pass caught, and a 1st down to Jaquez Green at the 35-yard line, a pickup of 15.
Well, Eddie George is a great blitz protector, but watch he goes laterally. I'd like to see him step up into the hole, give himself a little bit of room for air on the blitz pickup.
Yeah, then you take a look at what happened downfield, and you've got Wycheck and Bennett, and then you got Brooks, and there's 2 receivers in the same area. One, it wasn't even close. I'm not sure what McNair could have been seeing on that, but it was a poorly designed play when you got 2 receivers in the same area of the field.
Bucks with a first down on their 36. All stop and done. And neither one will get it. It's a play-action pass. Curse on the pressure. And Jaquez Green. And a flag is down as Green is knocked out of bounds. Green trying to stay in bounds with both feet, but there is a penalty in Tennessee territory at the 43-yard line.
Personal foul. Defense. 15 yards. First down.
So a personal foul, and that may be on Deron Jenkins.
You take a look here at Javon Curse, and he's going to work outside. Brad gets a little bit pressure inside. He starts sprinting outside. Javon Curse is pursuing him. He takes a hit there on the outside. And then you've got Jaquez Green on the other end of the reception right there, and Deron Jenkins hitting him late once he's out of bounds and draws the personal foul.
So they place the ball at the 49 of Tennessee, and apparently it was against Curse. Otherwise it would be deeper in Tennessee territory. First down, and the give to Warwick Dunn. Dunn playing with a sprained foot, did not see action against Green Bay, and came back quicker than the Buccaneers expected.
This is one of the areas that's been really surprising to me with this Tennessee Titans defense is the fact how much they have struggled versus the run. Last week against Baltimore, a team that has really struggled to run the football, goes for over 200. And this team last year, you did not run the football against this defense.
Javon Curse running off the field for the Titans, and Robert Smith, number 98, replaces him. 2nd and 8. Brad Johnson's pass and thrown behind the intended receiver Warwick Dunn. The Bucks trying to go to Dunn more as a receiver this year, and it was Randall Godfrey coverage.
You talk about Brad Johnson and the seasons that he's had up to this point, and he's completing 70% of his passes, which is off the charts. That's very good, obviously. But when he starts getting pressure, or when he starts having to throw the ball down the field, he has been not nearly as accurate as he's been when he's been throwing underneath to the check down guys. As an example, he's had a couple different passes today. He's had guys open, but he's not been able to deliver the football where they can catch it.
Javon Curse back in there on 3rd down and 8. And this toss and making the catch for the first down is Keyshawn Johnson, who's coming in as the 4th leading receiver in the NFC.
Keyshawn Johnson lining up there on the inside, and they want to move him around a little bit. He runs a little outside route, and Donald Mitchell trying to stay with him. And the things that Keyshawn Johnson does so well is, one, he's a big physical receiver. He's able to use his body, but he's great running routes where he doesn't have to come in and out of breaks, and they try to keep him on the move.
And great on 3rd down plays. Keyshawn Johnson in motion, first down at the 36. Here's Warwick Dunn trying to get away and spins his way for a 1-yard gain. Deron Jenkins coming up from the secondary, and this is a thin Tennessee secondary. Samari Rolle will be out several weeks with a pinched nerve in his back. Jenkins is playing, and as we mentioned earlier, Donald Mitchell making his first start at cornerback. And time running down, and that will be the last play of the first quarter. So at the end of the first quarter, here in Nashville, the score, the Titans 7, the Buccaneers nothing. And Fox NFL Sunday will continue after these messages. First down, and Keyshawn Johnson on a wobbly pass makes the reception, and another first down to the 25.
That's a pretty good matchup right there when you're putting your best receiver on a guy who's been struggling. Keyshawn Johnson on Deron Jenkins, and Keyshawn's going to win more of those. You watch this right here, and here comes Keyshawn getting off the ball. You see Deron, he's watching into the quarterback. He never gets his hip turned back to even try to defend the pass. Here's Deron Jenkins right here. I wouldn't be surprised for them to try to take a shot down the field in this situation.
Bucks trail by 7, have a first down on the Titans 25. And they hand off to Warwick Dunn. And the Buccaneers unable to do much running against this Tennessee defensive line. A pickup of 2 yards with Greg Favors and Kevin Carter in the play.
And he's a guy that Tennessee really has to have step up if they're going to reach the levels that they want to. He's a guy that at this stage of the season right now is not becoming every down player. He's kind of picking and choosing his moments. He's got to get a little bit more consistent in his play.
Carter, the former Ram, replacing Kenny Holmes, who's now with the Giants. 2nd down and 11. Keyshawn Johnson at the top, going in motion, but looking right and completing the pass to the 15 to Jacquez Green. And Brad Johnson moving the Bucks, and a gain of 12 yards. Deron Jenkins, the target, making the tackle.
As Deron Jenkins once again and that's the guy that they're going to try to. They like the matchup. They like the matchup not only with Keyshawn Johnson, but they also like the matchup with Jacquez Green against him, and they've been able to take advantage of some things already this early in the ball game. That was a slant. They were able to get up inside. I think right now Deron Jenkins is on his heels. He's not sure exactly what they're trying to do against him.
1st down at the 15. Handoff to Warren Dunn, and Dunn swinging his way close to the 10-yard line, and that is the quickness that is unmatched by most backs in the league. A gain of 6 yards. Robert Smith missed the tackle. So it'll be 2nd down coming up and 5 for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and this guy, Warren Dunn, he is just such an elusive player. And the big thing early in his career, he's not a big guy. He's a relatively small player. And they just didn't feel like he could carry the load like a bigger back, like an Eddie George. And they have learned over the last couple of seasons that he can, in fact, carry the load. And so he's starting to run the ball more, and he's been very effective.
2nd and 4. Pump fake, and the pass to the end zone, incomplete. Keyshawn Johnson covered by Donald Mitchell in the corner, and that will bring up 3rd down.
They've been setting that play up all the way down the field on this drive, running Keyshawn on that quick little speed out, and that time he turns the ball upfield. And this is what this offense has done. They've set things up, but when they have the opportunity to make a play, they haven't been doing it.
Well, they haven't, and they came into this game wanting to try to run some double moves. Right there, they ran an out and up, but when you're running an out and up from the 9-yard line, it just does not really give you much room for error to complete that pass. You run out of field, and that's what happened there. Brad threw it where he had to throw it, but he was out of bounds when he caught it.
Riedel Anthony checks in as the 3rd wideout on 3rd and 4. Getting pressure is Brad Johnson, and his pass incomplete. He was going for Keyshawn Johnson. Blaine Bishop, moving from strong safety to free safety today, was covering, but it was Josh Evans making the most of his starting opportunity, really forcing Brad Johnson to hurry. So it's 4th down, and Martin Gramatica will come on in to attempt the field goal. Gramatica has hit 4 of 6. Last week, he was wide with a 53-yard attempt. This will come from the 28-yard field goal attempt, with the punter, Mark Royals, holding, and a flag is down. Action in the middle of the line. Jeff Fisher on the sideline motioning that it should be against the Buccaneers.
Encroachment, defense. 5-yard
Jeff
penalty.
Fisher is not pleased with that call.
1st down.
And it's a 1st down.
That is a
They
cardinal
needed 4.
sin right there. 4th down. Let's see if the center flinches to draw this lineman offsides. He's awful. He's fidgety with that ball, and that could be enticing the guy across. You see Josh Evans coming in. I'm sure that's going to be his case when he gets over to the sideline to talk to Jeff Fisher.
A big break for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as Brad Johnson and the rest of the offensive unit comes on now with a 1st down and goal at the 5.
Well, that's the break that they were needing to get. It's not a very smart play by Tennessee, obviously, but for Tampa Bay to get stalled down there and not get an opportunity in the red zone once again to get the ball into the end zone, this breathes a little bit of life into them. Obviously, Jeff Fisher not happy with the call whatsoever.
There's a lot of life in him, but the wrong time. 1st and goal from the 5. Allstott and Dunn in the backfield. It's Warren Dunn wending his way outside, getting by Deron Jenkins, diving in, touchdown Tampa Bay. Great hustle and heady play by Warren Dunn, back in the lineup today, and he scores from 5 yards out.
The ability to turn the corner on that play, he's making people miss. He's got the stiff arm on Deron Jenkins, but he's able to fend him off, turn the corner, and then break the plane. What a great effort by Warwick Dunn.
Guy has great speed, but I think the thing that goes unnoticed when you talk about Warwick Dunn is the strength that he's got, the ability to fend people off, as you just mentioned, Moose, and that showed it right there with the stiff arm and his ability to get it into the end zone.
And the extra point by Martin Gramatica is good. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers not only benefit on the turnover, the interception by Brooks, but a very costly penalty by the Titans, and cap a 13-play drive to tie the game at 7. As the Bucs go 79 yards in 13 plays, Josh Evans, a very costly penalty, and this kick by Gramatica nearly goes out of the end zone. And the Titans will start from the 20-yard line. Well, you know that Jeff Fisher was incensed. He first thought it was against Tampa Bay, and when he heard it was a 5-yard penalty, he went nuts. 7-7, and Tennessee from the 20. That's their worst starting field position of this game. Steve McNair handing off to Eddie George, and George getting about a yard.
We'll go back and take a look at that penalty that Jeff Fisher was complaining about. You can see Sean McDermott, he's moving the ball around quite a bit, but that's what's got Jeff Fisher so upset, because that penalty gave him the first down. They were able to go in and score, and he's making his case that Josh Evans was enticed to come off sides.
But at least Jeff Fisher shows that he's very friendly with the official with his arm around him.
Well, it's early. You don't want to get on his bad side just yet.
2nd and 9 from the 21. Here's McNair in the pocket and going to Jeff George out of the backfield on a crossing pattern. And Eddie George is stopped after a gain of 8 yards.
That's one of the things that they like to do. They like to get the ball into Eddie George's hands. You know, clearly as a runner, it's a great way to get the ball to him. But they also utilize his skills as a receiver and a lot of check down type routes. They'll clear zones out. They'll work him over the middle of the field, get the ball in his hands, and let him do something with it.
3rd down and 1 at the 29-yard line. Quarterback sneak. Enough for the first down for the Titans.
You know, Moose, they said that his shoulder was feeling a lot better this week. Apparently it is. They run him on a quarterback draw now, and then the quarterback sneak for a first down.
Well, that's Mike Heimerdinger. He talked about Jacksonville, where they had 2nd and 1, and he tried to be aggressive in that football game, and they made mistakes. They had a sack, and then they had an interception. So he said, I'm gonna play conservative with this offense. I don't feel confident making that 3rd and 1 play.
Well, McNair said he's going to have to undergo surgery after the season for that shoulder. Bennett and Chris Sanders are the wide receivers, 2 tight ends. First down at the 31-yard line. McNair racing, and he is being chased. And the pass is caught by Frank Wycheck, who had been the perennial receiving leader for the Tennessee Titans. And Steve White trying to get after McNair, but he completes it for 7.
Well, that's Steve McNair once again just ad-libbing and making some things happen with his feet. Didn't like what he saw downfield. Here he is moving around, but he always has the presence of finding where his people are. Frank Wycheck right there. He takes a pretty good hit. He had a sprained neck last week after that hit.
2nd down and 3 for the Titans, as McNair already at 100 yards passing. Here's Eddie George, and George close to first down yardage as he crosses the 40-yard line. Well, next week on Fox, first game of our Fox doubleheader, the St. Louis Rams go against the New York Jets at the Meadowlands, and the Green Bay Packers against the Minnesota Vikings in an NFC battle. Well, you must be looking forward to seeing the prolific Ram offense next week, Troy.
You know, I am very much looking forward to watching the Rams offense. The things that they do and the way they're able to utilize their personnel. Of course, they got better personnel than most everybody in the league, but Mike Martz does a great job of utilizing those people and keeping them all involved and allowing them to play to their strengths.
By the way, Nate Webster has checked in for Jamie Duncan at middle linebacker. And you can see that the Titans have enough for the first down. 7-7 the score. McNair hitting Kevin Dyson from a yard out on the opening drive. And then Warwick Dunn with a 5-yard scamper to account for the scoring.
Tennessee being able to move the ball the way that they have is really allowed their defense to play much more effectively. And their defense is not a defense that can be on the field that long. And when Tennessee controls the ball, it really helps their defense as well.
Gaining 6.5 yards per play. And here is McNair. And McNair completes the pass for a minimal gain of 1. Aaron Kinney coming into the game as the leading receiver for the Titans. John Lynch in on the play, bringing up second down.
You know, and Aaron Kinney's been a real pleasant surprise for this football team. He's in his second year, and last week's game against Baltimore, he did some really nice things and finding the holes within the defenses and the voids and stuff, and he's become a big part of the passing attack. He complements Frank Wycheck, the other tight end, very, very well, and he's a guy who they hope will continue to improve as he moves along.
Brian Kelly in for Rondé Barber at cornerback. Second down and 9. And there's the pass to Eddie George. Gets by a defender and rambles into Tampa Bay territory and out of bounds at the 32-yard line. So it was Derrick Brooks who tried to get a handle on Eddie George. Dexter Jackson finally brought him down. Pickup of 26.
Here's Eddie George. Watch him right now. He'll find his way through and get into an open lane, but watch, the most important part is at the end. Derrick Brooks missing the tackle right there, and that's what Tony Dungy talked about yesterday, the fact that they're throwing the ball underneath and his guys aren't rallying up and making the tackles that they have in the past.
So the Titans with a first down at the 33-yard line. Eddie George already with 58 total yards, most through the air. And here is Green. Mike Green for a couple, and right now for a game break, let's go back to Los Angeles and James Brown.
Hey, Dick, as you know, the Lions were spanked on Monday night, being handled again now. Culpepper got it started with that 7-yard run. It's now 17-3 Vikings over the Lions. That in the second. Back to Dick, Troy, and Darrell.
Well, the quarterback story, Charlie Batch getting the nod yet again.
Yeah, and I think that they've got to resolve that situation in Detroit before they're going to move forward as a football team. And right now they've not been able to do that. Charlie making his start, got his job back this past week, but they got a long road to hoe.
Second and 9. Here is McNair trying to get away. And he finally gets it. Completes the pass. And that's Chris Sanders for 20 yards. And big-time pressure by Simeon Rice on McNair.
Take a look at Chris Sanders. He's working here against Brian Kelly, and he's always moving. He runs the curl route there. He doesn't quite have it. He keeps moving, Steve McNair finds him, and that's the thing is these receivers you have to be able to do. Steve McNair is going to move around the pocket. He's going to find the open receivers, and you can't stop running your route.
And Tampa Bay has to be aware of that and not let their man go. They've got to stay with him. As that play breaks down, never let your man go and focus on Steve McNair.
Sanders trying to redeem himself this week. First and 10 at the 13-yard line. And they give it to Eddie George. And Eddie George, with a head of steam, gets inside the 5. And it'll be first and goal.
Well, you don't want to let Eddie George get going downhill, and that's what happened right there. He's most effective between the tackles running the football.
You got it right here, and you look at the job that this offensive line is doing for the Tennessee Titans. They're moving people out, and you don't see Tampa Bay's defensive front get moved out like that. And the guys that are making the tackle are the secondary receivers, 7-8 yards deep. That's bad news for Tampa Bay.
First and goal at the 2, and a tie game, 7-7. And here is Eddie George. And he'll be tackled at the 3-yard line by John Lynch. So George, not expected to play earlier in the week, responded, as did Warwick Dunn for Tampa Bay, as both teams trying to muster an offense. They have not been able to have any kind of an consistent attack.
Receiver, number 76.
But there you see the Titans off to a good start, especially in the passing department. Jason Matthews, the right tackle, has come in as an eligible receiver, reporting to the official. Second down goal at the 2. Here's George. He's got some blockers. George getting down to the 1. Did not think he broke the plane. And Dexter Jackson, with help from Brian Kelly, stopped Eddie George from going in.
You don't want to run laterally against this defense. We've talked about it. They're tremendously quick, and that's what this is right here, a toss sweep to the outside. I'd rather see them line up and run between the tackles because of the great speed of this Bucs defense.
And an injured player down in the end zone, a Tennessee Titan. And no, it's a Titan who's down. Fred Miller. Howell and Jason Matthews in for Fred Miller, who got goal at the 1. Quarterback sneak. No signal yet. Touchdown. So McNair has thrown for 1 and run for 1, and the Titans are up 13-7.
Well, and I think when we talked earlier about the quarterback sneak that he ran to get the first down, the quarterback draw, the quarterback sneak here for the touchdown, and what that does to a quarterback's shoulder and taking those kind of hits. I think what it shows you is that this is a very important ball game for this Tennessee Titan football team, and they're going to do whatever they have to do. If they lose this game today, there basically is no tomorrow. So they're putting it all out there. They're doing whatever they have to do to give this football team a chance to win, and that includes playing Eddie George, who's less than 100%.
Right, you're 0-4. Forget about it. Here is Joe Nedney with the extra point. It's good, and the Titans going 80 yards to take the 14-7 lead on the quarterback sneak by Steve McNair. The Titans lead with under 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. The longest drive of the year for Tennessee. They won 80 yards. And Steve McNair with a 1-yard touchdown run, and he was 5 for 5 on that drive. Here is Nedney kicking off, and White Smith, the rookie from Akron, returning for the Bucs. He breaks 1 tackle and rambles his way to the 40-yard line. And it's Keith Bullock who brings him down after a return of 44 yards for Dwight Smith. We'll be right back. Checking on Eddie George, as George and McNair and several of the Titans playing hurt today for the Buccaneers. Dexter Jackson has a contusion of the right thigh and is questionable as to his return. Meanwhile, the Bucs first and 10 at the 40-yard line, and Jacquez Green out-wrestles Jerron Jenkins for the catch and a first down into Tennessee territory, and they're going at number 25 yet again.
Yeah, here it is. Jacquez Green working against Jerron Jenkins. You notice Jerron Jenkins is up on his upfield shoulder. So what they do is they purposely throw the ball on his back shoulder so that Jacquez Green is the only one who can catch the ball. Brad Johnson knows that Jerron Jenkins is on the upfield shoulder. He throws it to his back shoulder. Jacquez Green comes back and makes the catch. A very, very difficult play to defend.
And Josh Evans is shaken up back on the 35-yard line, and the medics are out to tend to him. Evans starting at defensive tackle in place of the regular John Thornton, who is out with a shoulder injury. Well, today's game is being seen live around the world by the U.S. servicemen and women throughout the facilities of the American Forces Television Services. And all of America salutes you and greatly appreciates what you do for our country. That was never more true than it is now. Dick Stockton along with Troy Aikman, Moose Johnston and Pam Oliver here at the Delphia Coliseum in Nashville. The Tennessee Titans 0-3 on the year, leading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 14-7. Henry Ford replacing Evans up front for the Titans. And here is Warwick Dunn stumbling for 1 yard on the play. 2nd and 9. Brad Johnson, and he's going for Warwick. Dunn, and Dunn making the play and staying in bounds for the reception, and the other official coming in and saying he did not keep both feet in bounds. So Dunn had beaten the defender, but the line judge coming in, Eric Morris, was defending downfield.
Well, there's one. One's there.
No,
two.
Not even close.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that Warwick Dunn really provides an offense. There he's working against a safety, Eric Morris, and you know, it's not just linebackers that he has the ability to beat. He's such a gifted athlete that has amazing speed and quickness and exceptional hands that he's able to do a lot of different things for an offensive football team. They can line him up in a lot of different places.
3rd down and 9, and there's pressure on Brad Johnson, and his pass overthrown, intending to hit Keyshawn Johnson, and then Javon Curse very nearly got to Brad Johnson, but he might have fallen down before he got to Brad Johnson.
Well, he got off the ball real quick, and that's the strength of his game, is that first step. Warwick's got to be aware of that and give him a little bit of a shoulder as he releases. And as you pointed out, Dick, he did stumble. If he can stay on his feet, he's going to get Brad Johnson from the backside.
You know, the other thing is, too, Kevin Carter working from the other side. Both of them got back there, and you know, we've talked about the addition of Kevin Carter and what he's meant to this football team. Both of them back there to meet Brad Johnson in the pocket.
Mark Royals will kick, and kicking it high and keeping it in play. The fair catch by Joe Walker. So here the Bucs, getting their best starting field position, cannot make a dent. And Tennessee will get the ball back as Jeff Fisher exhorting his team. I'll tell you, very enthusiastic in his optimism to Pam Oliver before the game started.
Yeah, he's the guy who really holds this whole thing together, and the team has rallied around Jeff Fisher, and he's been in this situation before. You go back to when they were moving around and they were playing in Memphis, they were playing in Vanderbilt, they were in Houston, and he's been the real rock of this organization. And so just starting out 0-3, he's not happy about it, but they're going to rally around him, and that's what they're trying to do here today.
They have faced adversity, Troy, no question about it. From the 12-yard line, and the pass incomplete, and Frank Wycheck over the middle and could not hold on.
You know, this is an interesting play, what they try to do. They want to fake the screen out wide to the tailback. You see right here, they want to fake the screen out wide on a tailback screen, but then what they do, they come back inside here with Wycheck, and it's a double screen. And then you've got the lineman working up in front. He doesn't catch that ball there, but that's something that they do a lot of in the various ball games. They've had a lot of success with that play.
Mike Green, the running back, on 2nd down, and he gets the call, and nothing much there. No gain on the play. Nate Webster, back up to the linebacker.
Tampa Bay, their first timeout. This is a 30-second timeout.
And the Bucs call a timeout. That is their first. So the Titans offense certainly getting the wake-up call so far today.
And you mentioned Jeff Fisher not giving up on this football team, but the areas they've struggled in were the consistency on the offensive side of the ball. You can see right there, only one 10-play drive before today. They had that last drive go 10-plus for a touchdown. No 5-minute drives up to this point, 2 today. But the big thing, their 3rd down conversions. They've really struggled to move the chains, and that's what this offense is all about, is wearing people down, and they've got an attitude that we're going to out-physical you out there, and they do that with Eddie George in the running game, chipping away at you and moving the chains, and that's been something that hasn't happened until this afternoon.
Well, and they talk about it, yeah, and there's no question that they're not a big play offense. So when you're not a big play offense, that means you have to be able to convert 3rd downs, which they've been unable to do until today. Now in this situation right now, they're facing 3rd and 10, and it's just a difficult down to convert.
They are 5 for 6 from 3rd down situations. They need 10 yards. And the fake handoff caught by Drew Bennett. Former quarterback at UCLA, turned receiver, went back to quarterback, so he's going back and forth. This may be his calling, Troy.
Well, him and Justin McCarron as well. I mean, these 2 young guys, knowing that they were going to get an opportunity to get in this ball game and play, and they've been able to do that, and they've done well.
Simeon Rice limping off the field, and there is that completion again. Good for 19 yards to Bennett. 2-minute warning. Tennessee leading 14-7, and both of my former Cowboy backfield mates who know what it's like to play in a balanced attack, seeing both teams trying to open up a little bit today.
Yeah, and Tennessee's really doing a nice job of it. They talk about how they want to get the ball to the wide receivers, especially these young receivers, and they've been able to do that. And as we mentioned, they've been able to convert on third downs.
Very impressive with Jeff Fisher, not happy with the productivity outside, not only going with the young guys, but the way they have stepped up and provided them that this afternoon.
1st and 10 at the 31 for Tennessee. Handoff to Mike Green, and Green picking up 1 yard. Right now, the Buccaneers have Chartrick Darby, a rookie, at defensive tackle for Anthony McFarland. They have Nate Webster, who came in for Jamie Gooch, and John Howell for Dexter Jackson in the secondary. So seeing what kind of depth the Buccaneers have on that side of the ball. 2nd and 9 from the 32. Under a minute and a half remaining in the first half. Plenty of time for McNair, and he finds Bennett. The rookie, Drew Bennett, knocked out of bounds, and a flag is down, and we may have a late hit by Rondé Barber. 7 yards, and they may walk off some more.
Personal foul. Defense, number 20. Hit the player after he was out of bounds. 15 yards. First down.
Drew Bennett right there. The good thing he did was he stayed where his route was supposed to end. And when Steve McNair got in trouble and scrambled out and couldn't find anything, he knew where Drew Bennett was going to be. And this is what Jeff Fisher talked about with these young wide receivers.
McCarrons and Bennett both producing, and Tony Dungy now facing a 7-point deficit and a first down on the 47 of the Bucs. There's McCarrons, 86. Made some big patches in the first quarter. And here is McNair taking off. Sees some running room. Changes direction. Steve McNair, not easy to bring down. Finally tackled at the 25-yard line by Rondé Barber.
Timeout.
A gain of 23.
Their second timeout.
And Tennessee will stop the clock with 1:01 to go.
You look at Derrick Brooks. He's on a blitz up the middle. Brian Kelly comes from the outside as well. McNair has nothing down the field. He takes off running, and when you're in man coverage like that, there's nobody accounting for the quarterback. And Steve McNair showing his ability to run the he'd really been unable to do in last week's ball game. Gets out in some open space and creates a lot of yards.
Unfortunately, at the end of that run, though, something happened to Steve McNair. You can see him on the sideline right there. Neil O'Donnell warming up on the field. So obviously not the shoulder. You can see him limping, something to do with possibly his ankle at the end of that play on the tackle.
Neil O'Donnell's going into the game. He already has gone in relief in the second game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And here is Neil O'Donnell, who started week 2. Those are his numbers as the Titans have a first down on the 25. Tennessee with 1 timeout left. And there's O'Donnell going underneath to Mike Green, who is tackled quickly by Rondé Barber. Clock is running. Gain of 4 with 46 seconds now remaining.
I can't imagine a tougher situation for a guy coming in off the bench with 40 seconds and a 2-minute offense against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But Neil's showing his veteran leadership here.
And there is O'Donnell going to the end zone. He had a man open. It's Justin McCarrons. McCarrons had beaten Donnie Abraham, and a penalty flag is down back on the line of scrimmage.
Boy, Neil had a real shot there for Justin McCarrons, and I think that's when we talk about coming in this situation, and sometimes your adrenaline gets to going and you're a little bit gunned up. You're not going to make some of those throws, but he definitely had Justin McCarrons for a touchdown.
Illegal hands. Offense number 71. Hands to the face. 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down. Second down.
Fred Miller called for illegal hands. 32 seconds remaining in the first half. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris We'll have scores and highlights from around the league, and the Fox Sports Ticker will keep you updated with up-to-the-second stats. Second down, and now 16 back on the 31. Makes the swing pass and going underneath to Frank Wycheck, but the Buccaneers were wise to that, and a loss of the play of 4 yards. And now Tennessee going backwards, back to the 35, and they'll use their last timeout.
Tennessee.
Well, the reason why Neil O'Donnell is in because of this injury to Steve McNair a few plays ago.
And you take a look at it, he's got a wrap around his ankle there, and hard to tell exactly what it might have been, but pulling on him pretty good too. I guess we'll get a report on his status, but it didn't look like anything was twisted up too bad, but he's certainly favoring that ankle.
I'll tell you one thing, Tennessee has not been shy about using either Eddie George or McNair in running plays today.
Well, and as I mentioned earlier, that's I think that points out the importance of this ball game. When you're an 0-3 football team, there's no point in saving anybody.
Got to throw caution to the wind. Already the Titans offense, 185 total yards last week, up to 225. 20 seconds remain, and Tennessee is out of timeout. 3rd and 20. Field goal attempt right here would be from over 47 yards, and they go underneath to Green, and it's caught. They're going to have to hurry up now as Joe Nedney running onto the field, and he will try this from 44 yards, and Nedney's kick is up, and it's good. Talk about ad-libbing, rushing onto the field, and no one is more elated than Jeff Fisher. And that is the end of the first half. With the score, the Titans 17, the Bucs 7. JB and the crew from LA coming up.
Is on the way, and it is going to be short.
The half 17-7, and the final seconds of the first half. A great finish getting the field goal, Moose.
And this is just going to go down as 3 points, but this is a great job of the entire football team being into it. Look at the receivers going off the field. Here comes the kicking team onto the field. They have no timeouts. This all started with about 18 seconds left to go in the half, and in Dallas, when we used to do this, you need at least 16, but to have everybody there and into the game and on the sideline, that's a very impressive job by Jeff Fisher and his crew.
44-yard field goal, and the Titans lead by 10. Your observations of the first half and what we might see in the second, guys.
Well, I think one of the most impressive things is that 8 different receivers for the Tennessee Titans have caught the football, and they've done a great job of converting third down. One thing I'm disappointed in Tampa Bay is that they talked about trying to take some shots down the field. They've not taken any shots over 30 yards yet.
And Tennessee is controlling the ball, controlling the clock, a team that led the league in time of possession last year, playing football the way they're used to doing it.
All right, there's Eddie George, who had a big first half, and as we take a look at the halftime statistics, heavily favoring the hometown Titans.
Here is the key right here, and that shows that Tennessee is converting on third downs, and 6 for 8 right there, 75%. They're making the plays, they're running the football, and that is the thing that they didn't do. That was Jeff Fisher's biggest concern coming into this, the thing that he was most displeased with his team.
Yeah, and so you talk about it and what Tennessee has done, and then they've kept the ball away from Tampa Bay. It's more to do with the fact that Tennessee's doing so well offensively as opposed to how poorly Tampa Bay may be doing.
Martin Gramatica, the second half kickoff, and here is rookie Eddie Berlin on the return. Berlin trying to go the other way, and he is stopped in his tracks as flags fly at the 20-yard line. Dwight Smith making the tackle, and the flag is down. Dick Hantack, the veteran referee, leading this officiating crew this afternoon. And it will set the Titans back.
During the return, number 84.
Chad Meyer.
10 yards. First down.
Hey, Jeff Fisher jumping up and down with glee after Nedney was able to get that field goal off. And here is Steve McNair for Troy, in and out of the pocket.
Yeah, you look at what he's done, and pretty much the same. He's got the one interception in the pocket, but he's been effective both standing in the pocket, throwing the ball, finding his receivers. He's been especially effective getting outside and making things happen.
And he had the bruised knee, but he's back in at quarterback after giving way to Neil O'Donnell at the end of the first half. Eddie George diving forward for 1 yard on the play. George gaining 17 yards and 5 carries in the first half, averaging nearly 3.5 per carry.
And I think that still has to be a concern for the Tennessee Titans because they really aren't running the ball effectively. They're using it as a mix-up and a change-up, but their plays were made by the wide receivers outside in the passing game today.
Actually, McNair was the leading rusher with 25 yards gained in the first half.
You're going to see John Lynch right here working up inside for run support.
Second down and 9, and here is Eddie George, and he is hit by Alderman Singleton, and from behind Anthony McFarland on the sandwich tackle. George picks up 2, bringing up third down.
Well, and one of the things that they want to do with John Lynch is when they bring him up in run support, and offenses know that he's a guy who's going to be the 8th man in the box. And so even though they didn't run his side, they're more times than not wanting to run away from him, run away from the 8th man. And John Lynch does as good a job as any safety in this league as far as getting involved, not only in pass protection, but he gets involved in run support and makes things happen.
Third down and 7. Out of the shotgun, the quarterback draw, McNair, and John Lynch buries him after a gain of 2. So the Titans try to go to their quarterback, who was shaken up before, and Lynch has an answer for that.
Well, we talk about him. Here he is right here on your screen, number 47. He's getting up in the middle in run support, and he comes up and tattoos him right there. And he plays. He's got the speed and the agility to be a safety, but he's got the toughness to play linebacker. He's a great, great football player.
So Craig Hentrick will punt, and flag is down. They whistled it dead before the snap. Dick Hantak sorting things out. No play. No flag, no play. And Hentrick again will kick from inside the 5-yard line. Carl Williams is back. High kick. And Carl Williams at the 35-yard line of the Buccaneers is down at the 42. That was the first punt of the game by the Tennessee Titans. And it'll be Tampa Bay trailing by 10, trying to get back into this game. Back here in Nashville, Tennessee, let's see what Brad Johnson has done, passing by distance in the first half.
Well, you take a look at it, and right here is really where Brad is most effective. The 0 to 19 yards is where he likes to throw the ball. And when you look here, the 30 yards in here, past 30 yards, he's not taking any throws, and that's something that they talked about wanting to try to do today, and they've got to be able to make some big plays to put themselves in position to get points.
That starting position for the Bucs, the 41-yard line, and Brad Johnson, who doesn't like to run with the ball, picks up 2 yards as we check in with Pam Oliver. Pam?
All right, Dick, into a response to something that Troy said, I actually talked to Tony Dungy at halftime about taking some shots down the field. What happened to that? He said he felt like the quarterback had some opportunities but did not take them. Defensively, a familiar refrain. He says we've got to start stopping them from converting so many third downs. Back to you.
Second down and 8 at the 43. Thank you, Pam. There's Brad Johnson looking for Keyshawn Johnson, and they broke off that route. The pass going out of bounds, and that will bring up 3rd and long.
You got one-on-one here. You got a safety in the middle. You got one-on-one here with Keyshawn Johnson, and he's going to run a comeback route. Brad dropping back, and we talked earlier that Keyshawn, one of his strengths is not getting in and out of breaks, and you see there he's at the top of the route. He gets stumbled up at the top of the route and is unable to come back out towards the sideline and make a play.
Keyshawn Johnson lining up to the top. Riddell Anthony on the bottom. And a momentary stoppage of play, adjusting the play clock Tennessee looking for their first win of the year, trying to get it at home today. Tampa Bay, third win game. And the movement in the line and the penalty flag.
Ball start. Offense. Number 64.
So
5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Randall McDaniel, 5 yards. So now it'll be a 3rd and 13.
You know, where they got the ball, where this possession started, they're in a great position in order to move the football and get points. You can't ask for better offensive field position than what they've got, and yet they've not been able to do anything with it. Again, 2nd and long situations incomplete. Then they have a penalty. Now they're looking at 3rd and long.
They started from their 41, and now they're on their 36. Brad Johnson on the screen to Warwick Dunn. Dunn to the 45 and stopped, and I believe shy of the first down by a good yard and a half by Blaine Bishop, who was hampered with an ankle injury during the week. And that will bring the punting team on for the Bucs.
And that's what Pam talked about with Tony Dungy, the conservative approach of this offense on 3rd and 13, throwing the screen, not even taking the shot down the field to give yourself a better chance of a conversion.
You know, I think for some offenses, the screen in that situation is a pretty good call. But when you're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what their history has been, you know, with being conservative, the thing that's helped Tennessee offensively is that they've gone down to the field in those 3rd and long situations and they've converted them, whereas Tampa has not.
Mark Royals with the booming kick. Joe Walker at the 15-yard line on the return. And the flags come down as Walker is tackled at the 26-yard line. So another penalty coming from upfield. But you're right about Tampa Bay. They've had 3 different offensive coordinators in the last 3 years. Trent Dilfer was the quarterback, then Sean King. And Shelton Quarles shaken up.
Number 28 will penalize from the dead ball spot. 10 yards.
Eric Morris.
First down.
Ball for the penalty.
Well, you talk about the different coordinators and stuff, and you know, Tony Dungy's made it very clear that that's the style of offense that they're going to run, and he makes no apologies for it.
The Yankees and the A's, game 4 with Oakland on the brink of winning, but what a great play by Derek Jeter to cut off the tying run at the plate. And then later on tonight, St. Louis and Arizona, presented by Budweiser, the 5th and deciding game of that National League Division Series. Here in Nashville, the Titans with a lead and a first down on the 17. Rolling out is McNair, and McNair completes it to Frank Wycheck upfield. And unlike the Buccaneers, the Titans are taking their shots. An 18-yard play and a first down to the 35.
We talked about how John Lynch likes to get involved. Here he is right here. He comes up trying to get the 8th man up there for run support. It's play action. Now he's trying to get back underneath Frank Wycheck. He's unable to get there in time.
And Warren Sapp continues to come close with the sacks and stuff, but he's just not getting there. You can see right there is everything washes down on the play action, and actually a little slow getting up at the end.
From the 35, and finally McNair is driven down by Marcus Jones. He grabbed a hold of Steve McNair and wouldn't let go, and a loss of 10 yards on the sack, the first for the Bucs.
You got Marcus Jones right here coming off the top, and so much attention is paid to Warren Sapp and the job that he does. Marcus Jones getting by, being able to bring Steve McNair down, and you don't see one guy like that bring down a big quarterback like Steve McNair often.
And he split the double team to get there between Fred Miller and Frank Wycheck, so a good effort play right there by Marcus Jones.
His 2nd sack of the year. He leads the team. Warren Sapp still looking for his first. Second down, 20. Dropping back McNair. Caught at the 42-yard line by Wycheck. Well, they found their perennial receiving leader. 18-yard pass from McNair with Lynch and Rondy Barber making the tackle.
Yeah, and really what I like what they're doing right now is they're starting to open it up a little bit and throw the football, and Wycheck is becoming a big part of that, and he's one of Steve McNair's favorite receivers. And Algernon Singleton was trying to get underneath that particular pass, was unable to, but a nice catch there by Frank Wycheck.
Singleton in for the injured Shelton Quarles, who came off the field. moments ago. 3rd and 2. George diving for the first down. It'll be close. He had to get to the 45-yard line. Jamie Duncan making the tackle with just under 9 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. Tennessee Titans leading Tampa Bay 17-7. McNair with a short touchdown pass to Kevin Dyson. And then a quarterback sneak for a score, and Joe Nedney with a field goal. The only Buccaneers score, that by Warwick Dunn with a 5-yard run around end. Measuring for the first down, and they are short.
And they come up a little bit short on that, but this is what Jeff Fisher talked about, managing field position. They got the ball deep in their end. They get a couple of first downs. Now they're going to be happy to punt the ball, put Tampa Bay deep in their territory. They had a nice long drive last week in a critical time, but that's not the style of Bucs offense. So if you can make them drive the length of the field, you put yourself in a better position.
Not the style of buck ball.
Buckball. I do agree with Howie. The problem with buckball is you rely on the other team to make a mistake at some point. I mean, that is one of the most important things about playing buckball.
But it's such a catchy phrase, guys. Buckball. Craig Hentrick will punt, and Carl Williams back to receive. Fair catch for Williams. It bounces on the 10, and the Titans are going to down it and really back up the Buccaneers inside the 5-yard line. So great strategy if you want to talk about field position. Always a big issue in this game. That was a 52-yard punt by Hendrick. We'll be right back.
Same old, same old. I'm going driving.
Porsche has always been.
Boys, that is the sorriest first half I've ever seen. So here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get changed. Then, we're going to get on the bus. Then, we're going to go home. We're going to go home. We can play video games.
Loss of competitive edge. Another unfortunate side effect of hunger. Grab a Snickers.
Packed with peanuts, caramel, and chocolate.
Later on, we're going to take a nap.
Snickers, don't let hunger happen to you.
Don't you just hate it when you get it on your shoes? Well, tough guy, that's why Prestone invented this. It's the new no-glove jug. Now you won't splatter any of that precious protection your engine so desperately craves in nasty weather. So, always remember to flush. Do put the lid down when you're through. But most important, always remember the big, yellow, no-glove jug. Because we're in full-blown Prestone season now, aren't we?
Yes.
Bez takes up ballet, so guess what his friends think?
Puffy shirt guy called. He wants his puffy shirt back.
That 70s show, all new at 8/7 Central Fox Tuesday. Who will win on the series finale of Love Cruise Fox Tuesday?
8:29 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Dick Stockton, Troy Aikman, Moose Johnston, and Cam Oliver with you here in Nashville, and the crowd watching the Bucs start from the 3-yard line. Here's Mike Allstott, and he brings it out close to the 5-yard line. Well, you want to take a look at how the Bucs have done under Tony Dungy offensively. It's graphic.
Well, you look at it, they've never been better than 21st in the league in total offense. And as we were talking about earlier, Tony Dungy says he likes the way they play offense. They play not to make mistakes, not to lose ball games. In essence, what he's saying is that he likes an offense that ranks in the bottom third of the league in offense.
2nd down and 9. From his end zone, Brad Johnson completes to Keyshawn Johnson, and the Buccaneers get out of big-time danger. Donald Mitchell on the tackle, and the 20-yard gain gives them some breathing room.
Well, that's the fade stop. You got Keyshawn Johnson working against Donald Mitchell, making his first start, and they throw it on the back shoulder, as we talked about, and that's just a very, very difficult play to defend. The corner. Donald Mitchell wants to play on his upfield shoulder and not allow Keyshawn to get by him. But what the Buccaneers do, Brad Johnson throws the ball on the back shoulder and is able to make the play.
Only 2 receivers have caught passes today for the Bucs. Keyshawn Johnson and Jacquez Green. From the 24, Warwick Dunn spinning his way for a loss on the play of 1 yard, thanks to Eddie Robinson, outside linebacker. The third offensive coordinator in the last 3 years is Clyde Christensen for Tampa Bay.
And that's how this team jump-started last week on that long 95-yard drive. Was a big play by Keyshawn Johnson coming off. And talking with Clyde Christensen, he knows that the way the Titans play, they're going to have their opportunities. But that's really the first time we saw it, and that was coming off their own goal line.
Way below their season's average, which wasn't much to begin with, are the Bucs. Second down, and here is Johnson downfield, and the pass thrown out of bounds, but good pressure put on that time.
Yeah, Brad's been under a lot of pressure. Last week he was under a lot of pressure. He's been getting banged around pretty good today as well. Right up the middle and knocking him down. And the other thing on the outside with Keyshawn Johnson, they were trying there to get the double move on the outside, and when you don't have the protection up front, you're going to have a hard time hanging on to that football and allowing things to develop down the field.
That was Robert Smith who knocked Johnson down, who's playing in place of Kevin Carter right now. It'll be 3rd and 11. Bucs 1 for 6 on 3rd down conversions. The slant, good for the completion, but not the first down. Jacquez Green stopped about 4 yards shy of it.
Blaine Bishop coming up to make the tackle, and you pointed out at the top, Dick, the fact that Blaine playing free safety as opposed to strong safety. So we're not really seeing him up there in the mix, but a big play right there from the free safety position to keep him short of making that first down.
So the Titans defense forcing the Buccaneers to punt. Mark Roy kick for the 5th time, and Joe Walker goes back deep. And the Titans trying to get in, perhaps to get a piece of that. Remember, Donald Mitchell blocked a punt last week and scored a touchdown, the only points that the Titans managed against the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, they were offsides on a field goal that gave them on the field goal attempt that gave them the ball back.
That's exactly what happened.
And it looks like the same thing's happening here on the punt.
For the second time.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Now, this is the second time this has happened. So Jeff Fisher, you can see right there, he is irate. Now, Sean McDermott, the long snapper for the Bucs, has got to be doing something with his hands. You can see it on the left side of the screen. You can't see the center, so maybe this guy's just jumping. But you get into that situation as a punting group. The first thing in your head is, all right, they're inside 5 yards, so we can't have a neutral zone infraction and give them the ball back.
And you're going to remember, Sean McDermott is a rookie, doing a pretty good job of confusing the Titans. Undrafted rookie from Kansas. So as a result of this, for the second time today, the Bucs get a first down when they should have punted. First time was on a field goal attempt. First down at the 37. Plenty of time. Brad Johnson, and trying to go high is Keyshawn Johnson, and could not hold on. Blaine Bishop was back there as well. Well, Brad Johnson at least trying to go downfield.
Well, he's trying to get the ball downfield, Dick, and he's got him in on a square in. And if you take a look, you got Brad working on the left side. Keyshawn coming up on the outside there. He's running a square in, and the ball floats on Brad. He had a shot at him, but that's a ball that Keyshawn Johnson has to make. And then you talk about the big-time players in big games have to make big plays, and that was a catchable ball in a big game that he has to make.
2nd and 10, going deep again, and wide open is Keyshawn Johnson, and he is out of bounds at the 31-yard line. So Brad Johnson unleashes a pass to Keyshawn Johnson of 33 yards just as he gets hit.
Well, and Brad Johnson, he shows his veteran savvy here after the last play that he misses. Javon Curse coming around the top of your screen there. Brad gets rid of it just in time under the pressure and is able to deliver a nice ball. Keyshawn just gets lost in coverage and is able to make the catch. Nice job by Brad Johnson coming back after missing the play earlier to Keyshawn, hanging in the pocket, delivering the football, and getting the first down.
First down at the 31. Handoff is to Warwick Dunn. getting some running room and getting to the 21-yard line before Derrick Morris, the strong safety, makes the tackle. And that may be good enough for a first down for the Bucs.
This is all starting as the result of a mistake by Tennessee. The key ingredient to Buck ball. They're getting another shot, and they're taking advantage of it. You have to give them that credit. Now Warwick Dunn in the running game, getting off to a good start after some big plays in the passing game by Brad Johnson and Keyshawn Johnson.
Keyshawn Johnson, 4 catches for 74 yards. Second down and 1. Johnson will throw. And unable to make the play is Jaquez Green. The pass was a bit high for him. And Deron Jenkins on the coverage.
Well, and that's, it's 2nd and 1 there, and he's got Jaquez Green out there on the sideline all by himself. And that's where Brad has been. These receivers have made some outstanding catches in the last several ball games for Brad, and his completion percentage has been up there, but he hasn't been nearly as accurate throwing the football as what his numbers would indicate.
Sean King, who had been the starter in the playoffs last couple of years for Tampa Bay, and on 3rd down and 1, the quarterback sneak. And Brad Johnson will get the first down, keeping things alive for the Buccaneers as the clock winding down now. Nearly 4 minutes remaining in this 3rd quarter. First down for the Buccaneers, trailing by 10. This is the 11th play of this drive. And here is Dunn. And Dunn can't get away from Kevin Carter. Slowed him up and eventually tackled for a loss of 2.
Yeah, they said he had his knee down there before he was able to get out the grasp of the defender.
Kevin Carter, he's a guy that he needs to take advantage of the fact that everybody's going to be worried about Javon Curse and be able to use that because he's going to get freed up quite a bit. This will be an opportunity for him, who is a great pass rusher, to get those single teams and to maybe be a guy that you overlook in the big scheme of things inside.
Here's Keyshawn Johnson right here. Keep an eye on him.
2nd down and 12 from the 22. Brad Johnson pump fake, and his pass, he was going to Warwick Dunn, who was double covered downfield. And it will bring up 3rd down and 12 as both Deron Jenkins and Derrick Morris were right on Dunn.
Yeah, you might have had a shot at Keyshawn Johnson going across the field. And Brad has admitted that he has not gotten settled in offensively with what they're trying to do. He's played the style that they want, and that he has not turned the ball over. He's been conservative. He's gotten the ball down to the underneath people. But he's not been able to really get comfortable within the system of what they're doing.
There's a flag down, and you saw Brad Johnson.
12 men in the offensive huddle. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Brad Johnson tried to call a timeout, but the officials caught him that they had an extra man on the field. So when you are threatening and on the verge of being in the red zone, those penalties, shooting yourself in the foot, are catastrophic, really, when you're down by as many as 7 or 10 points as the Bucs are now.
Well, it's very difficult to move the ball in the red zone. The field is shortened. It becomes very specific. So yeah, you definitely don't want to do something that puts you even in a more difficult position by having a foolish penalty like that.
3rd down and 17. The Bucs have to get to the 10. If they don't, Grammatical will come on. And there's the screen pass to Warwick Dunn. Dunn to the 15, to the 10. Warwick Dunn will go in and score. 27-yard touchdown. And it was Warwick Dunn who went through a lot of traffic there, guys, to get the touchdown that could bring the Bucs to within 3.
And I laugh because it's the same play that they ran. There's Dunn right there. He's going to be running the screen. It's the same play they ran early on a 3rd and long situation. I'm just surprised that Tennessee didn't know it was going to be coming, but they do a nice job. Keyshawn Johnson here blocking Deron Jenkins and allowing Warwick Dunn to get up inside and get there for the touchdown. But I'm really surprised, one, that they called that play, and then 2, that it worked against Tennessee.
And Martin Gramatica, and the extra point is good, so it's a 3-point game, and it was Keyshawn Johnson who threw a key block to unleash Mike Allstott. Last week he did it, this week for Warwick Dunn. Nashville, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers cutting the Titans lead to 17-14 as Martin Gramatica on the kickoff, Eddie Berlin on the return for Tennessee, and a good return by Berlin out past the 30-yard line. Well, the scoring drive by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers eclipsed last week's 95-yard drive by 2. It is the longest in franchise history. We'll be right back. Tampa Bay Buccaneers to within 3 of the Tennessee Titans, 17-14. So let's see how the Titans answer that touchdown. And a long drive it was. Starting from the 31-yard line, McNair gets away from 2 defenders. It looked like he was sacked and then stopped when he started to run, and he ends up picking up 4 yards on the play.
Well, John Lynch is he's moving up into the mix, and then he comes inside. They only get a piece of him. Simeon Rice comes from the inside. Both of these guys get a hold of Steve McNair, but they can't get him to the ground, and that's his the effect that he has to the dimension of this offense. Turns that into a 5-yard gain.
2:11 remaining in the third quarter. The handoff is to Eddie George. Look at that power. Talk about George versus John Lynch. A 5-yard pickup to the 40, still short of the first down by about a yard. Let's take a look at the Titans leaders on attack in this game. A good percentage passing game for Steve McNair, over 200 yards. McNair is also the leading rusher, and Frank Wycheck becoming a factor in this second half.
Well, I think the biggest thing for them is that when you see what Steve's doing in the passing game, 13 of 17, 205 yards. He's created big plays that have allowed them to move the football and put points on the board.
Third and long, the quarterback sneak. First down for Tennessee. And with that, we'll check in with James Brown in Los Angeles for a game break. JB.
Hey, Dick, how badly do you think Chris Carter wants to hold on to a ball after last week's fumble? Try this one on sides from Culpepper. 47 yards to Carter. He scores 31-13, Minnesota over Detroit. Chicago D getting it done. Michael Pittman forced the fumble. Picked up by R.W. McQuarters. 66 yards to pay dirt. 20-6 the Bears all over Arizona. Back to Dick, Troy, and Darryl.
And we had the Bears against Baltimore, and they played well enough to win that opening game. First down at the 43-yard line for the Titans. Play action. McNair on the run. He'll get the first down into Bucs territory. He gained 12 yards on quite an ad-lib play by Steve McNair.
Well, you take a look at Warren Sapp. There he is on your screen, working upfield. Steve McNair feels pressure. Look at the hustle of Warren Sapp. This is a guy who never stops hustling. And you got McNair getting on the corner. And he's just been able to improvise so many times today to get this football team out of trouble. When he's dropped back and it hasn't been there, he's been able to break containment. And when you look over the previous couple of weeks, that's something that he has just not been able to do.
Sheldon Quarles is back in at linebacker for Tampa Bay, and Eddie George for a couple of yards. And once again, McNair continues to lead the Titans in rushing, and he added 12 more to his total. That was a 2-yard gain by George as the third quarter comes to a close. At the end of the third, with the score, the Titans 17 and the Buccaneers 14. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after a word from your local Fox station. And Pam Oliver, the Tennessee Titans leading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 17-14. As the Titans with a second down and 9 on the Bucs 44. McNair completes for the first down to Kevin Dyson. Well, they say things that you don't see in the box score. Special teams mistakes today.
Well, you make a stop and force the team to kick a field goal. You give them a penalty. The next play, there goes Warren Dunn in for a touchdown.
And you got Eric Morris there coming outside, giving him a first down also on the punt, which leads to the screen pass on 3rd and long and allows him to get in also for a score.
Brad Johnson's first touchdown pass of the year, by the way. So Warwick Dunn, much needed and delivering for the Buccaneers this afternoon. First down for Tennessee. They're on the 32-yard line of Tampa Bay. Pressure put on McNair over the middle, trying to get it to Whitecheck, but not even close.
Well, Warren Sapp doesn't have a sack this year, but it's not because of lack of hustle. You see right there, as he gets up the field, he just continues to work. He's been so close, not only today, but through the course of the season so far. He's just coming up a little bit short each time.
You know, this group, they've been hammered about not getting enough sacks, but it's been a group that over the last 3 games, they've put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They've still gotten hits on the quarterback.
Marcus Jones has the only sack for the Bucs today. On 2nd and 10, penalty flag. Eddie George, 2 flags go down. Warren Sapp, always vocal. Last week, one of his favorite sparring partners, Brett Favre, who he has great respect for.
Offside. Defense. Number 91. Lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down. 2nd down.
The rookie Shartrick Darby, so it'll be 2nd down. 2nd down and 5. Early here in the 4th quarter, but the fact that the Buccaneers are not an explosive offense, to say the least, this is an important defensive possession for them right here, or I should say sequence. Can ill afford letting Tennessee get a touchdown. Titans on the 27. Here is George, tripped up for no gain. And that was Warren Sapp.
Well, this is going to be a big 3rd down here for, as you mentioned, Dick, earlier, this is going to be a big 3rd down for the Tampa Bay defense in order to stop them and try to keep them from only getting a field goal and keeping this game within a touchdown range.
3rd down and 5. 3 wide receivers line up. Dyson at the top. And there is McNair going deep for Dyson. What a pass! Touchdown! What a play by Dyson! I'll let Troy say whether that was picture perfect.
Well, it certainly was, and it all starts with the way Steve McNair is able to get set up in the pocket and get his feet underneath him and deliver the football. That's something that he struggled with last week. He gets the ball. Here it is. You got Dyson working against Kelly, and he goes by him and going. You take another look at it here. 1 knee equals 2 feet, as they say. It's a touchdown.
And, of course, if they're going to challenge it, they'd have to do before the snap, and they're going to whistle this, and no play. And now Tony Dungy onto the field. And the question is Tony Dungy challenging that touchdown, or whether Dyson was in bounds? They did blow the whistle before the extra point.
Take another look at it, and you know,
did he go out first and then come back?
Yeah, I agree with you, Troy. He's got his knee down, but is he out of bounds right there? Look at the pylon with his left foot. Is he out of bounds at that point right there, which would prevent him from being able to come in and be the first player to touch the ball? That might be the area that Tony Dungy should focus on.
Did his left foot in front of that pylon hit the out-of-bounds area?
I'm not so sure that it did.
It's worth a challenge, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
No timeout. Prior to the timeout, Tampa Bay challenged call on the field of touchdown. They're challenging that the player did not come down in bounds.
Now remember, he's challenging that they didn't come down in bounds, but if they see in the replay something like we're talking about where maybe Dyson might have had 1 foot out of bounds before he came in, they would put that into the process as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Even though they're challenging one aspect of the play, the whole play then becomes challenged. And if they see that he maybe went out of bounds prior to making the catch, then it would in fact be the challenge would be the play would be overturned.
Now Dick Hantak has not yet gone over to review that play. It'll be his decision.
Well, Jeff Fisher had the red rag in his hand as well, like he was going to challenge something, and I think they're just trying to figure out exactly who's challenging what. We know what Dungy's challenging. I don't understand if there is in fact a challenge from Jeff Fisher on anything.
Do you think he's upset about the fact that he feels they got that kick off before Dungy initiated his challenge, so then the play would stand?
All right, let's see it closer.
It's this foot right here as it comes down. Boy, that is, and that's going to probably fall in that inconclusive category where they're not going to be able to overturn it because, as you said, Troy, at the end of the play, his knee is down. So I think their only hope was that his left foot was out of bounds, and that's pretty inconclusive right there.
And if his left toe was out of bounds, it would have been in that area where the white chalk is, right where the pylon is. That is the old
start.
Dick Hantak will give us his decision.
After reviewing the play, the receiver's left foot hit the pylon prior to catching the ball. We had an ineligible receiver catching the ball. The pass is incomplete. Tampa Bay is not charged a timeout.
Jeff Fisher, we can't even keep him in frame. And we have got some great cameramen. Touch the pylon and that out of bounds area. You are out of bounds. You can't come back inbounds. Therefore, he's ineligible. Dyson, ineligible receiver. So no touchdown, and it'll be 4th down coming up. Here it is.
I don't know if we're going to be able to see this. Focus on the pylon. Now, when his left foot goes by, it's still up. It's Brian Kelly's foot that hits the pylon. It's not Andre Dyson's foot or Kevin Dyson's foot that hits the pylon. Right there. It's Brian Kelly's foot that hits the pylon.
You know he's right, Troy. Moose is right.
Well, I would agree with that. When I'm watching Dyson's foot, I never saw the pylon move. I never saw the pylon move when Dyson was going by it.
Thank you, Dick.
Did that make your decision?
I'm going to go home now because it can't get any better.
You're
for
right.
Me now.
We saw it twice on the replay, and you know Jeff Fisher may be saying that because that pylon did not move until Kelly hit it.
It was actually Brian Kelly's back leg coming across that moved that pylon.
But you know the inconclusive aspect of this really comes up large here. Can you conclusively say that Dyson?
Well, I take that. You know,
yeah,
the pylon
now it's moving a little bit when he hits it.
Yeah.
Dick, I was wrong.
Moose, maybe you were wrong.
You can't go back on me now.
No, I know. I'm with you all the way. Win or tie, you know that.
Maybe it was just the momentum. The wind generated, as his leg went by, it just kind of swooshed past. It'd be interesting to see if Jeff Fisher is just really upset about the fact that he got his kickoff before the challenge was there, which would have made this all a moot point. They couldn't have gone back and reviewed it.
Remember, there was a debate as to whether we should have instant replay. No question that we should. I mean, that's really has helped the game. I don't think there's any doubt about it, and it really hasn't taken that much time. Remember, they have the 2-minute limit, but it really hasn't extended things that long. Crowd of obviously disapproving. It'll be 4th down. Joe Nedney is on to try what would be about a 45-yard field goal. Nedney kicking a 44-yarder as time ran out in the first half.
There was a timeout taken by the defensive team prior to the snap. Tampa Bay is charged a timeout for the timeout request.
Well, then that makes the fact that they got the kickoff a moot point because they're saying right now that they got the timeout called by the defense before the kick was done. which allowed him to go ahead and do that challenge.
Right. So here's Nedney. This will be a 45-yard attempt as the Titans look to open the lead to 6. Joe Nedney's kick is good. So Nedney, who has missed a field goal in each of the first 3 Titans games, is 2 for 2 today, and Tennessee comes out of it with something. If not the touchdown, they're up 20-14. End over end and returnable Dwight Smith at the 10-yard line, returning for the Buccaneers. And he wends his way out to the 31-yard line. So the Bucs get a touchdown on Brad Johnson's first TD pass, and then Tennessee comes back with a field goal as the touchdown pass to Kevin Dyson is reversed on the challenge. Nedney kicks the field goal. Dyson already has a TD reception in the first quarter today. And now, how do the Buccaneers respond on 1st and 10 at the 31? Brad Johnson, and the pass on the sideline is caught by Keyshawn Johnson, and about a yard shy of the first down. On the coverage was Deron Jenkins.
They like to move Javon Curse around. They got him right here down at the bottom on the right side, working against the rookie Kenyatta Walker. He's almost able to get there. Brad steps up to avoid the hit, and makes a nice throw there to Keyshawn Johnson.
Kenyatta had a tough game last week against Green Bay, but when we talked to Brad Johnson, he said, I have all the confidence in the world in Kenyatta out there going up against Javon.
Kenyatta Walker, the first-round pick out of the University of Florida. 2nd down and 1, and here is Warwick Dunn, and he is knocked back and a loss of the play of 4 yards, and it was Kevin Carter coming alive here to make the play. Yankees and A's, the 3-time defending world champions, staying alive last night. Game 4 coming up 4 o'clock Eastern in Oakland after their 1-0 win last night. Later on tonight, the Cardinals and the Diamondbacks in the pivotal Game 5, brought to you by Budweiser. On 3rd and 5, penalty flag down. Pass is caught by Warwick Dunn. It would be a first down if the penalty goes against Tennessee. You can see Josh Evans is trying to clue in the officials. It will go against the Buccaneers. Josh Evans pointing over the head of Kenyatta Walker.
Illegal formation. Number 83 was covered on the line of scrimmage, making him ineligible. He went downfield. 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down. 3rd down.
Well, look who's incensed now, Tony Dungy. That was on Dave Moore, the tight end, who has yet to catch a pass today.
Dave Moore's going to be right here. They're saying he's on the line, but the big thing comes with the guy being out there, covering him down. Doesn't make sense to me.
3rd and 10. Brad Johnson being chased by Blaine Bishop, firing in double coverage, and the pass is intercepted by Andre Dyson. Kevin Dyson's younger brother, and he is a comer, make no mistake about that. Picks it off as Brad Johnson trying to get it to Jacquez Green in double coverage. So the first turnover committed by the Buccaneers, and we'll be right back. See Titans this year as they try to break into the win column and lead 20-14 and have the ball at midfield, leading by 6.
You got Blaine Bishop on your right coming at Brad Johnson. He's going to put pressure on him. Brad starts to try to get to the outside, nowhere to run. He stops, pulls up, makes an ill-advised throw. Andre Dyson, the rookie, right there to make the interception, and that's something that Brad's done a great job of avoiding. and you don't see him make too many throws into coverage like that.
Well, you don't often see Tony Dungy in sense, but we're seeing it more today than we have in quite a while. So Brad Johnson throwing his first touchdown pass of the year, also throwing an interception, his third of the year. First down on the midfield stripe. Hand off to Eddie George. Eddie George. And a flag is down. Eddie George is tackled after a big gain of 28 yards. And let's see if they'll call this back. We're seeing a lot of the yellow flags flying now here in this second half.
Face mask. Defense. Number 20. 5-yard penalty. First down.
In all those little short runs in the first half, this is what the Tennessee Titans are about. They wear you down, and all of a sudden, they become bigger runs in the second half. And we've seen Eddie has been finishing his runs during the course of the afternoon, and haven't seen that face mask yet, but maybe it's still coming.
It was a quick one. Ronde Barber called for it. It was, you can't blink to see it. First and 10 at the 18-yard line. That was a 5-yard penalty. Here is George trying to reverse his field and can't. Will lose a couple. Simeon Rice on the stop as we send you to Los Angeles. JB with a game break.
Hey, Dick, Terry Bradshaw is looking like a clairvoyant. Take a look at Kerry Collins' play action, escaping pressure, hooking up with Ike Hilliard, 25-yard strike. Giants on top. Marshall Faulk out with a sprained MCL on the same right knee. He's had 2 surgeries. Back to Dick, Troy, and Darryl.
Well, that is a stunner because the Giants have never played well on the turf against the St. Louis Rams. And now leading them, and then with Faulk hurt. Remember, that's what did the Rams in last year, the injuries to Faulk and Kurt Warner. Here's Eddie George eating up the clock. We still have plenty of time with only 5 minutes gone by, but George getting 6 yards on that carry.
Yeah, and there's nobody that can really, there's no running back really in this league that can just wear a defense down like what Eddie George does. And Moose mentioned it earlier that, you know, he gets stronger as the game goes along, and he just starts punishing the defenders, and that's what he's beginning to do here. And you can see it in the faces here of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're beginning to get tired, and Eddie's beginning to get stronger.
Eddie George averaging nearly 5 yards a carry in the second half. More than double his first half efforts. And he's going to end that here as George gets the first down to about the 7. And Jeff Fisher said, I don't think the Tampa Bay defense could be on the field for 70 plays. They wear down. He's proving it.
And that's been the big thing about converting third downs and getting the running game going. And you just look at the eyes of Eddie George. He's got that feeling right now that he can't be stopped. And that passes on to the offensive line up front. There's been some talk about these guys not getting the job done. They made a change last week, but they are playing very well right now in the run game against a very good Tampa Bay defensive front 7.
It'll be first and goal at the 7 for the Titans, leading by 6. And they'll go again to George. Breaks a tackle. Gets inside the 5, where he is stopped by the secondary coming up to make the play. Nate Webster had missed the initial play, and a gain of 3. There's the ball control story, and Tennessee is using that to their advantage now.
Well, and what's so demoralizing for a football team is when you know the offense is going to run the football and you can't do anything about it. This is something that Tampa Bay is not accustomed to having to go through, and they know that Tennessee is going to run the football with Eddie George, yet everything they've tried in this drive, they've been unable to stop him.
Second and goal from the 4. Eddie George, touchdown, Titans. Well, you go back to the beginning of the game, and Jeff Fisher, knowing that the Tennessee Titans needed the win today, and Eddie George getting his first touchdown of the season. And now the Titans will go for 2 as they lead in the game 26-14. And you can almost tell by the way Jeff Fisher spoke with Pam Oliver right before kickoff.
Well, the big thing is they talked about the fact last year, the way they started last year, their first 3 games, they very well could have been 0-3 last year. They were just making plays at critical times. They weren't doing that this year, and that's the reason he felt was the major indicator of why they were 0-3.
Here's the 2-point conversion for the Titans. And they've got it. Kevin Dyson. And it's 28-14. And the Titans have opened up a 2-touchdown lead with under 8 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. And the fans here at Philadelphia Coliseum have reason to cheer. First touchdown. Brad Johnson with his first touchdown pass. And the Titans getting their first interception as Andre Dyson picking it off, the first interception, and capitalizing on the turnover as the Titans go 6 plays on 50 yards. And Eddie George leading the way and chewing up a lot of that clock. So Joe Nedney will kick off for the Titans. White Smith into the end zone, and he'll down it there for the touchback. Both of you guys brought out some great points about how this team has responded to adversity. The move from Houston, the different places they played last year, getting off to the rough start.
Well, I think it's a fact of life in the National Football League that every team's going to go through some adversity, and it's really how you handle those situations is going to determine what kind of year you're going to have and if you're going to be successful or not.
And the way that Jeff Fisher approached it and the way he handled it really followed down to his team. He said there was just a few areas we haven't converted on third down to keep our drives alive. We haven't had plays outside by our wide receivers. Today, both of those things have happened, and we're seeing the Tennessee Titans that we're used to seeing.
And both of these teams would have a trouble coming back. That's not their nature. Here is Warwick Dunn with a screen over the middle and a first down of 17 yards near the 40-yard line. So 7.5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, and now the Buccaneers, with a hurry-up offense, need 2 touchdowns. From the 37, Brad Johnson has done again, and he is wrestled down by Randall Godfrey. The gain is 5, and the clock continues to go.
Well, and Warwick Dunn, he's really been the offensive weapon for this football team all day long. He's been their weapon in running plays. He's been their weapon throwing the football, and they have got to find a way to get the ball outside of these receivers more effectively than what they have.
Second down and 5, looking downfield but going underneath, and the pass to Warwick Dunn is waved off. They'll be short of the first down in any event.
Personal foul. Defense number 98.
It was caught.
Low hit on the quarterback. Hit below the knees. 15 yards. First down.
And a lot of people talk about rules being put in to protect the quarterback, but this one here, I think everybody has to agree with. That's one play that I really don't like, and I know, Troy, you play in the position to have to worry about not only getting hit, but a guy coming in and taking your knees out.
Well, and that was on Robert Smith, and you're exactly right. A lot of the hits up around your chest are really not that serious of hits, but when you're going at someone's legs, they're going to throw the flag every time.
First down in Titan territory, Brad Johnson, and the pass is caught again by Dunn. So it's been done, and done. And a 7-yard pickup with Deron Jenkins on the tackle. So the hurry-up offense, for the most part, Brad Johnson going underneath. Second down and 3. Again underneath, and unable to hold on was Dunn, bringing up third down.
Well, and what's happening is that they're rolling their coverage to the outside receivers, and they're doubling up. They're not allowing anything really deep up the field, but there's got to be something else that they can do to get the ball to these wide receivers. Even though they are playing this rolled coverage, instead they've come underneath the Warwick Dunn on every play in this series, and Tennessee knows that that's what they're trying to do. You see it right here. You got safeties here, safety here, corner, and that's why they're rolling up on the outside receivers.
Flag is down, and the screen to Mike Allstott, and the loss on the play, but there were penalty flags before. And Keyshawn Johnson with an opinion. And Here's Dick Hantak. Well, Keyshawn Johnson was upset. Looked like he was trying to call a timeout, and instead a false start will be called against the Buccaneers.
Illegal formation. Number 67 was not lined up on the line of scrimmage. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
If you take a look here, here's Kenyatta Walker. His head has got to be in the belt of the center. Otherwise, he is determined not to be on the line. As you can see, he's not.
There's Keyshawn Johnson right there trying to get that timeout called before.
So it's 4th down and 7, and the Bucs trailing by 2 touchdowns. Will go for it on 4th down. Brad Johnson looking for a target. Points and throws it up. And it is nearly intercepted, and a flag goes down. Another penalty. We're getting them on every play now. As Joe Walker came over, nearly intercepted the pass intended for Keyshawn Johnson.
Pass interference. Defense number 25.
And Deron Johnson, if it were not for the intercept or the penalty, Tampa Bay might have taken over on downs. This is a 23-yard penalty here.
Take a look here at Warwick Dunn. He's going to come out trying to get out to the flat. Eric Morris tackles him right there. They knew they were going to try to get him the football. And here's the end of the play with Keyshawn Johnson. Deron Jenkins all over the top of him. That was an easy call. Deron, he's had some bad plays the last couple of weeks there. He never got turned to look at the ball coming in.
First down and 10 at the 14. Under 6 minutes to go. A new life for the Buccaneers. Brad Johnson gets hit, but delivers the pass to the tight end Dave Moore in his first reception of the game. Joe Walker making the tackle, and the Bucs picking up 9 on the play.
And Brad Johnson doing a really nice job there of hanging in there. Jason Fisk, number 97 for Tennessee, was coming right down on him. Brad does a nice job of hanging in there and getting the ball off to David Moore.
Under 5.5 minutes to go in the 4th. 2nd down and 1. Brad Johnson fires. Touchdown. Wide open. Jacquez Green. And so the Buccaneers, when they went to the hurry-up, Troy, got 6 in a hurry. And waiting for the extra point could narrow the gap to 7.
Well, I think so many times you get into the 2-minute offense and defenses start to panic a little bit. You see Jacquez Green there. They lose. He gets lost in coverage and finds the hole. Brad's able to find him. But you go into the 2-minute offense, defenses immediately start thinking that everything's going to be down the field and that it's this big hurry-up offense, and that's not the case in this situation. Brad was very patient. They moved the ball methodically down the field and got a touchdown and got right back in this ball game.
And now Martin Gramatica with the extra point, and it's 28-21. So Blaine Bishop out of the game with a sprained foot. They've got backups in the secondary, and Brad Johnson trying to take advantage of it, and does, hitting Jacquez Green. And Justin McCarron's returning this kickoff, and McCarron knocked out of bounds at the 32. So here comes Tennessee with the ball and a 7-point lead with 5 minutes left.
Yeah, and if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be the defense that they say they are or that they think they are, this is the time in a ball game where they have to stop Tennessee right here.
And they've had opportunities to do this the last few weeks. Minnesota goes 96 yards at the end of the game to win that one. And last week against Green Bay is inside the 10-yard line after Tampa Bay had taken the lead late in the game. So as you pointed out, let's see if they can make the plays they have to right now.
From the 33, here's Eddie George. And George picking up about 3 on the play, tackled by Anthony McFarland. Tennessee Titans with 28 points today. McNair has thrown for 217 yards and a touchdown. Eddie George getting a lot of work in the second half, 82 yards rushing and a touchdown. And Frank Wycheck, the receiving leader, with 4. But as Troy mentioned, they have gone to several of the young receivers, and they have paid dividends.
Well, they certainly have, and it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to have the confidence to rely on those guys in this situation in the game.
Second and 7, Eddie George, and he is stopped by Nate Webster, who has come into play for Jamie Duncan in the middle, and no gain on the play, bringing up 3rd and long.
Well, and Darryl had said, hey, you know, we'll see if we can stop these guys, or if Tampa Bay can stop the Tennessee Titans, and it's not a matter of just stopping them. They've got to stop them now and give the ball back to their offense with time to go back and get the tie-in score. So this becomes an extremely critical 3rd down play right here in this game.
They line up with 4 wide receivers on 3rd and 7. And the fake handoff to George, and this pass falls way short, intended for Drew Bennett, and it was deflected, I believe, by Simeon Rice. So the Bucs live up to their reputation. Troy, they hold and force Tennessee to kick.
Well, you know what, they did, but Tennessee was awfully conservative in their approach. They had one-on-one on the outside. They wanted to try to do something conservative that wasn't going to create a bad play and give them a chance to possibly get the 1st down, as opposed to going after one of those corners with a one-on-one matchup, which is what they've done earlier in the game that has provided them the opportunity to get points.
That was a 1:42-second drive as Craig Hentrick with a booming kick, sending Carl Williams back, and he lets it drop at the 5, and the Titans down it at the 6-yard line. So just when you're saying the Bucs hold them, they got a shot, they're going to have to start from inside the 10-yard line. A 55-yard punt by Craig Hentrick. Well, the big doubleheader next week on Fox starts with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had comebacks before. They were trailing the Cowboys by 3 in the 4th quarter, won. They were down by 3 to the Packers and won that game a week ago. And there's Brad Johnson, and going out to Warwick Dunn, who gets stopped on the screen, and a loss of 5 yards on the play. Remember, the Bucs with Brad Johnson went 97 yards for the touchdown in the 3rd quarter that brought them to within 3, so they have had a long drive today.
Yeah, and they went 95 yards last week for the game winner.
2nd and 13. Brad Johnson going to Moore, the tight end. He cannot hold on, and good coverage by Donald Mitchell on the play. Now it's 3rd and 13. Blaine Bishop, who went out with a sprained foot, not in the game, and the Titans are trying to make do with a very thin defensive secondary.
Dick, they've got to get the ball up the field. They can't afford to just come underneath to the checkdowns in this situation. They've got to find a way to get somebody up the field, one of those wideouts, and get them the ball.
Here's Brad Johnson, and this pass intended for Green, and defending was Andre Dyson, and that will bring up 4th down. But I think the point, I know what you're thinking, is that you can't wait for 3rd down to do it.
Well, the big thing, they came out, they went to the screen again on 1st down, and we've talked about it. They've had success, but you're going to the well one too many times. You know, eventually Tennessee is going to be waiting for that play in a situation.
The thing that I've not liked today with Tampa Bay offensively is when they've had the one-on-one matchups outside, they've been unable to capitalize on it. You can't ask for anything better in this league than one-on-one, and you've got to have confidence that your receiver can beat that guy one-on-one, but yet they've not given him an opportunity. Right there, they had Jacquez Green, they're unable to convert.
Mark Royals bobbles the punt, but gets it off. And here's Joe Walker at the 40-yard line, and Walker straight ahead gets inside the 30, where he is tackled by Eric Vance. So 12-yard return following the kick. Tennessee's defense got the job done, and now the offense will start from the Buccaneer 28, Moose.
And this is going to be a good indicator of where Tennessee is at as a team. But right before that, we'll take a look at the punt. A nice job right here of Mark Royals keeping his concentration. That ends the game right there if he doesn't remain calm, secure that ball and get that punt out of there.
Well, and one of the things they worked on before the game was that Royals was working on hitting a knuckleball punt that gives really the receiving team a difficult time catching the ball. I think they were hoping that they would somehow create a fumble.
Rams lead the Giants by 1, and here is Eddie George, stopped for no gain. Now, the Buccaneers have 2 timeouts left. They'll use one of them here.
Timeout, Tampa Bay.
With 2:24 remaining. And they'll also have the stoppage at the 2-minute warning.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if Tennessee is content to come out and just pound the ball at him 3 times and maybe get that field goal. Or do you use some play action and maybe get Steve McNair out on the corner with the ability to find an open receiver or run down the field? They haven't been worried about his shoulder all game, but as you pointed out earlier, Troy, the fact that they got very conservative.
3rd down and 7, and the whistle before the play got underway.
Delay.